Hello and welcome back to Mario Kart Deluxe. Well, last time we played through the Lightning Cup on 100cc, and today we're playing through the Egg Cup on 100cc, and we're going to be using Pink Gold Peach, another super necessary addition to the cast. And we unlocked a new bike last time, and it's called the Jet Bike, and we're going to be using that today. We're going to be using those along with the Ancient Tires and the Parafoil. Here are the stats. And once again, we're going to make sure that Smart Steering and Auto Acceleration are indeed disabled. And so without further ado, let's dive into the Egg Cup on 100cc. Let's do this. Okay, so for those of you who didn't watch last episode, as a brief recap of, we talked about Star Wars, and we concluded with, I basically went over how Star Wars is destroying the Disney parks and my familiarity with the franchise as a whole, and I'm going to save this red shell for later. I could have used it against Metal Mario there, but I was going to pass him anyway, so I may as well save this one. Someone inevitably tries to throw a shell my way. So, anyway, so we closed up by talking about the Star Wars Visions trailer, which is, you know, my connection with the Star Wars franchise is basically non-existent. I have no emotional attachment to the series whatsoever. So my reaction to that trailer was the same as my reaction to every other Star Wars piece of content on the planet, which is, that sure was Star Wars, I guess. But I did mention that I saw some really impractical lightsaber contraption thing that some people I saw on Twitter were trying to defend by saying, it's the rule of cool. It doesn't have to, like, I unironically said someone say, it doesn't have to make sense. Even if it looks completely impractical and might actually kill you if you try to use it, it doesn't have to make sense. It's about the rule of cool. And I'm getting very, very tired of people saying it doesn't matter if it makes sense or not so long as it looks cool. Because that broken logic is how we get things like Professor Layton and the Danganronpa games, which if you're new to the channel, then let me let you in on a little secret. When I played through the Professor Layton games, for as engaging and intelligently crafted as the puzzles consistently were, the story was god-awful, and it made no sense. I mean, it tried to make sense for like, Unwound Future fell apart almost instantly. But the other two games that I played, which are Curious Village and Diabolical Bots, those stayed pretty consistent for the first, like, for 90% of the game. But all of them, the problem is that because they're all about, what's the mystery of the town, ooh, it all, like, the backbone of the story is what the final payoff is. And I'm sorry, but the final payoff of Curious Village, Diabolical Box, and Unwound Future, none of them make any goddamn sense whatsoever. Because they all revolve around Professor Layton being able to do some insane thing that makes absolutely no sense, but, oh, it looks cool, it's so cool we get to see him do this. Don't you like that he can do this? No. So, for your examples, Professor Layton has been established as a highly intelligent and highly perceptive and analytical thinker who's able to solve problems fairly easily, as evidenced by his knack for puzzle solving. However, being intelligent and having an analytical, deductive, problem-solving mind doesn't give. So, like, if you have to solve a mechanical problem, you may have the technical know-how for what to do, but completely lack the mechanical, hands-on craftsman capabilities required to actually fix the problem. And I'll explain what I mean by that in the next race. So, for instance, if you are working on a game development team and you have a problem with, let's say you have a problem with your code. So, it could be anything. You can use your imagination on this one for whatever, really just whatever you want, any kind of glitch whatsoever. And the problem is that this thing isn't working the way it's supposed to be working. How do we fix it? Well, someone might come along and say, like, and you describe the problem to them, and someone might say, well, thanks, Green Shell, maybe you can try this, and like maybe try this. This might work. This might fix your problem. someone might say, like, have an understanding of what needs to be done to fix something, but not have any knowledge of what needs to be done. So, like, you may understand the logic behind how a program works and what specific part of the logic needs to be fixed in order for it to function properly, but completely lack the actual the knowledge of the programming language in question, as into, like, you lack the syntax knowledge of what to tell the computer to do to accomplish what you want it to do, right? Conversely, in Professor Layton and the Curious Village, how many shells are you going to throw at me? You may understand, hey, I'm in a crumbling tower. I can't possibly reach the bottom in time. So the only way out of this place is if I can somehow use the materials in this room to craft a flying machine so that we can fly to safety. You may understand that, but knowing that that's what you have to do doesn't mean you have the know-how to actually craft the machine in question to get you out of that tower. And Professor Layton had never previously been established throughout the game as someone who's good with mechanics. He's not someone he was not established as a craftsman or someone who's good with technology and, like, crafting things in any regard. So it's a little bizarre and not tonally boxed, but it just pulls you right out of the story to see this man all of a sudden gain the know-how to concoct a perfectly functional flying machine out of random furniture pieces found at the top of this tower. It's actually absurd, the degree to which he is successful with that, because it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever that he would ever be able to pull that off. That is so silly. That is ridiculous. And it's the same thing with the other games. Layton is a smart man, but that does not give you... Being smart doesn't mean you have the skill sets to be able to craft a flying machine. Even if you understand the science behind and the physics behind what needs to be done to craft it. The mental knowledge and physical capabilities are two entirely different things. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. The other payoffs are even more ridiculous. If you thought that was bad, wait till you hear about the fact that now Professor Layton is a master swordsman. Yeah, in the end of Diabolical Box, he gains the ability to face off against someone else who's very skilled with a sword in a 1v1 sword battle. I should not have driven out the edge there. I did not. I drifted a little bit closer to the inside than I would have liked to, but it's fine. It's 100cc. We'll make it back. No problem whatsoever. Missed that green shell. Don't hit me with... Please don't let myself get hit by my own green shell. That'd be great if I could not get hit by my own green shell. Thanks. But, so this man, like, so the way that you're supposed to do this is, like, what you could do, you could have it such that at the beginning of the story, he's training to become a swordsman, like he's training in hand-to-hand, not hand-to-hand, but in sword combat, and then at the end, you put him in a situation where he has to put his skills to the test, and he triumphs as a result, kind of like how in Kung Fu Panda, you have Po learn, like, slowly accruing more knowledge of Kung Fu techniques throughout the movie, and then at the end, he uses every skill he has learned to defeat Tai Lung. Like, that's a satisfying payoff, because you see him learn, develop as a character, and then you have the payoff at the end of the movie. Compared to Professor Layton, who starts out with no aspirations or goals or skills he's trying to learn, and then he just summons whatever ability that the plot needs him to have for whatever situation is called for. It's basically what it is. And then you cut to Unbound Future, where not only I think it might be the worst one. So there's this car, which has apparently been rated to be a flying car. Even if we let that go, we'll let that go for the sake of this conversation. Layton is able to fly this thing. And I'm sorry, just no. Just straight up no. Like, people say, oh, I want flying cars. I don't think you do. Like, something that I don't think a lot of people understand is that for as cool of an idea on paper as it sounds to have flying cars, do you know how many car accidents there are on the road, on the ground, when you're not in the air? So people can barely drive as it is. You really want to put those people in a situation where they have to now control something in the air? No, you don't. With the amount of accidents that happen on the roads nowadays anyway, I do not want to see what would happen if we gave everybody, or like if we gave people flying cars, and everyone was able to just like, because again, like from a scientific perspective, it would be fascinating to see. But then you have to think about the real world applications of that, and you're like, oh wait, that means I have to trust people who get into car accidents by default to now be able to fly and not get into car accidents. I'm sorry, no, the rate of car accidents are going to triple at best if that happens. So to tie this into what I was talking about, no way in hell Professor Layton is able to effortlessly jump into this flying car and fly it around in order to get to safety. That didn't happen. He crashed and he died. He didn't save the day. That's not what happened there. So, now that I've ranted about how little sense the Professor Layton trilogy payoffs make, allow me to finally tie this all back to what I said we were going to be talking about at the beginning of this video, which is the rule of cool, because the number one defense that people will use for these scenes is that, oh, but it looks so cool though. That's the rule of Professor Layton. Professor Layton's just awesome. He can do whatever. It's so cool that he can do these things. Don't you love? Isn't it awesome to see him make a flying machine or become a master swordsman samurai person or be able to fly a car suddenly? Isn't that so cool? And the answer is no. I mean, you can think it's cool, but it's the sizzle, not the steak. Essentially, like it's a payoff with no setup. It's like, it's not like, what I described earlier with Kung Fu Panda is the idea of you have a character that's learning and growing and failing and progressing as a character in their skill set over the course of the story, and they learn. And even throughout the subsequent movies, Poe learns more skills. He doesn't stay stagnant. He keeps learning new things as he becomes better and better, and continues to fail because it's all a learning process. Compared to Professor Layton, who, like I said, summons everything he needs to do whenever the plot needs him to do it. So I'm getting a little tired of people saying, oh, it's fine because it's the rule of cool. Because it doesn't really matter if something looks cool or not, if it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So just keep that in mind the next time you stumble across something that you're, like if you see something and your default response is, oh, but it looks so cool, it's like, okay, maybe think a little bit more about the implications of this first. Because what Professor Layton is what we call a Gary Stu. A Gary Stu is a character that basically has no faults. I mean, there's more to it in terms of the actual description, but in layman's terms, it's a perfect character with no faults whatsoever. And that's basically what Professor Layton is he's a perfect character in the sense that he has no character flaws, he has no journey, he has no arc, he has nothing. He's just everyone in the world just loves him, except the villain, obviously. Everyone just likes him because he's just such an awesome character. To the point where even in the Professor Layton vs. Phoenix Wright crossover, all the writers could come up with for dialogue was, wow, Layton, you're so awesome, and wow, Phoenix, you really would be screwed if it wasn't for Layton, would you? And I just hate it so much. I really hate Professor Layton as a character. He's just so terrible. He's terribly written as a character. He has no goals or aspirations or anything like that whatsoever. And he just summons all abilities he needs whenever he wants to because he's a complete Gary Stu. I hate him. I hate that character so much. Now, maybe not as much as some of the Danganronpa characters, but I don't really want to talk about Danganronpa, at least for the foreseeable future. So, I figured it was refreshing to rant about Professor Layton for a change, because for as much as I hate the Professor Layton trilogy story, I would play them a million times over before I ever play the Danganronpa games again, so take that for what it's worth. Anyway, let's go view the results. You have collected 750 coins, and so a new vehicle customization option has been unlocked, and we'll see what that is in the next episode. But for now, that will be it for this video. So, Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next time. I hope to catch you all tomorrow for some more Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Goodbye.